You ready, Terry?
Okay,
Sir?
Go for it.
go ahead.
We're gonna talk about this, right?
Yes. Great. Thank you all for joining us. I am sure you had a wonderful time, and so now that everyone's in the room, I know you've had some brief conversations about your experience. But I'd love to hear some of your reflections. You know, what are you walking away with? What connected or resonated with you as you think about the inputs and outputs and moving from soloist to conductor and all of those things that we've learned about?
I sat there and I listened to the young lady talk. I could see the passion in her eyes. She described everything she did to detail. And I'm thinking like, where was she 10, 15 years old when my grandkids were going to school? I got 7 grandchildren, none speak Spanish. None. And that's a shame. But listening to her talk, she's gonna go a long way. And hold it with us.
That's awesome. Anybody else? Thoughts?
About this thing over here?
Yes.
No, this thing.
Go ahead. Mr. Valdez?
I was just gonna say, like it's really rewarding to hear them, to hear what they've been doing, how they've been with the other teachers, there for the students, connecting with the students, not just being there to teach, but being there to get to know the students, get to know their culture, get to know their language, someone the students can look up to.
Awesome. Yes.
And we may not know this, but this is our 3rd year, right?
Yes.
Do we, what's the, maybe the percentage of teachers that stay here, clinical teachers that stay? Do we have a?
The first year,
Ballpark?
we had 30 teachers. I believe we had like a 67%.
Okay,
And
yeah,
they
that's
found,
good for the first
and they
year.
found that teachers who, like hometown was down in the valley or in Houston, they just went back home.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the second
that's-
year and
yeah.
third year, we've been looking for people that are locally.
That's what the teacher I was with, she was like, yeah, you know, it's, you know, I'm not from San Antonio, and,
Mhm.
yeah, so strategically, right?
Yes.
Y'all were right,
And they-
right, that's exactly what I was thinking, but thank you.
And they've actually interviewed all of the teachers from UTSA and Temusa.
Yeah.
Usually we get like 27 from, the first year, 27 from UTSA, 3 from Temusa. This year, we had a lot from Temusa, so
Wow.
they have some different leadership there. And so we got a lot to pick from.
Yeah, good, awesome.
So this, what they do with the teachers, does that take the place of something in the classroom? No?
No, they're teaching,
Part of the training.
they're teaching and they're side by side learning from that teacher from the beginning of the year till the end of the year.
Yeah,
And we
because-
select specific host teachers.
Right.
A majority of those, if not all, are designated teachers,
Mhm.
TIA teachers.
Yeah, she loves, this teacher loved it. She's been doing it for 3 years. She loves coaching. You can tell that she's really trying to help the girl because the girl hasn't been hired. But the way that the young girl was explaining, it was like, it's better than just to be learning in the classroom. Here you learn it and then you actually practice it, cause you're in, I mean, yeah, in their classroom, but here she's in the classroom practicing what you learned.
The young lady I spoke to said, had I not gone through this, I would have not known what to do on the first day.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's different, right? To
What
be
school
actually
were you
teaching.
with him?
What?
What school were you saying?
Royce's out.
And you were at OBJ? OBJ,
Cardenas?
I had Perales, you got OBJ? You remember which school?
Right now,
The teacher was at?
where's the next?
Which is now. You know, guys, just to give you some closing context, the reason why this grant, that started out with T-class and has grown is because a lot of times, when you're in college for these, for teaching jobs, your clinical time is free. You used to have to just do it on your own. So because of that grant, we were able to facilitate at least a $20,000 salary for them. Because, I mean, they have responsibilities too, so, why is that important? Because then they can really focus on learning. The young lady I got to sit with, Hannah Wrinkle is her name, she got to spend, this year with 5th grade at Perales. It's a great school, and luckily for her, she's gonna be able to stay. One of our teachers moving to Georgia, and so she's just gonna slip on in. Obviously excited, comes from a long line of teachers, but the other factor she kept mentioning to me, says, I really appreciate my principal. My principal, and I think my team will be happy to hear this, my principal used to be an instructional coach, I found out. And because he used to be an instructional coach, I watch him come in the rooms, and he's able to coach the teachers. Because her dad, she says, my dad told me, the #1 key to be successful is get a principal who knows how to still be a teacher,
Yes,
because they've been trained to be managers.
that's rare.
So that is what we've been working on the last, I'd say more focused the last 5 years, because
Mhm.
the teacher is the number one, biggest influence, then it's the principal.
Yep.
And so when you can get those two things right, and I think, I don't remember the number now, but I think the majority of our principals have now been instructional coaches. And so that was very intentional many moons ago, when we all started, about having the patience and waiting on them, wait for them to grow up. If you push them, they won't internalize things, and so,
Mhm.
that for me, those are the little things I listen for, that she was able to articulate that. And of course, you know, Mr. Medrano's so humble, oh, well, you know, everybody's like that. I said, no, they're not, no, they're not, no, they're not.
Mhm.
So, and he wants to stay there, wants to be a Paradas, he loves his building, and doesn't wanna go anywhere. I know, cause I tried to ask him to go somewhere.
¿Cuál
And
es
he's
ese?
like, no.
¿El de
El
dónde?
muchacho that's,
¿De Cisneros?
no, el muchacho de verano, es,
Ah, sí, ya está.
de Perales.
Ya está.
Yes, you met him before, he's got the braces.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm gonna put that connect.
Well, awesome, so glad you were all able to see that, and much like we talk about, you know, our parents and our students being the best marketers of what's happening in our schools and those great things, this is a great opportunity for you all to see what we do to support teachers in the classroom and to see the work come to life. So we're gonna do part 2 of our series on leading with purpose, building a culture of trust, growth, and integrity. Again, why we're here, because leadership matters. I'm not gonna read everything on the screen, but again, remember, our overarching goal is that through these sessions, gradually, over a period of time, we would be able to develop a list of core competencies aligned to our Edgewood ISD leadership framework. That would be the deliverable, right, of this, the outcome. So today, we're going to engage in a little bit of self-discovery and reflection. We'll be doing some work with the assessment that you took and some of the chapters that you've read. We're gonna align on our standards of integrity. The last time we met, you all, you know, wrote down a list of the people that you admire most and what those qualities, right, were. And so we're gonna take that and we're gonna look for some similarities amongst us. We're also going to briefly review the 11 leaderships. And then we're gonna have some discussion around chapters 1 and 2, do a little bit of reflection, and then we'll just have some closing remarks and comments. Any questions on our kind of day? And we're gonna spend about an hour here on this, not 24. And this is, again, one to kind of ground us in what matters most around our leadership framework. These are the core categories, right? The competencies fall within these, but what we wanna align on, is our people matter, growth matters, and goals matter. You guys have heard this, you know, several times throughout our presentations, and we're constantly connecting the work to these categories. So do these look familiar? If you guys brought your binders and you wanna refer back, you can. These were the 11 keys to leadership. These are gonna show up throughout the chapters that you're reading. Continually learn, unlearn, and relearn. That was something that they hit on in one of the chapters. Value yesterday but live in today. Rely on speed, right? But thrive on timing. Can someone read the next one here?
See the big picture as the picture gets bigger.
Thank you. Anybody else? The next one?
Don't be big, but think about tomorrow.
Awesome. Another one?
Move forward courageously in the midst of uncertainty.
Thank you. Another one?
Continually learn, unlearn, and relearn.
Right? Again, so important. Yes. And that's a difficult one too. They all have their challenges, but this one's really key and pivotal.
I wanna say something about, go back to
Yes.
the unlearn.
Yes.
As I started in my leadership journey, Jesus, all the trainings, it was like, oh my God, I have to unlearn all this. Like, I was raised wrong, I was questioning the way I was raised, but it's just that the way you say things, everything changes when you're a leader or when you're in leadership.
Yes, absolutely. And there's some data that you all probably picked up on in one of the chapters. I think it was chapter 1 around the workforce changes, right, every 5 years. And so whatever you learn, 30% of that will be obsolete, and you'll have to relearn that content and material again. So engage and discover. How many of you all were able to take the assessment? Awesome, thank you so much for doing that. So we are going to do a little activity. How many of you have your results with you? Yes?
I sent it to you.
Did they give us the results?
Did I send it to you?
Yes.
You want me to print them?
No, I mean,
That's okay. If you remember what they are, because here's what we wanted to do with them, okay? So our activity right now, is I was gonna share the results that I have, right? And we're gonna do a little bit of self-discovery, gonna hand out these little whiteboards here and a marker. And what I'd like for you all to do is to jot down on your whiteboard your primary leadership legacy style. What do you think mine is? What's my primary leadership legacy style? Ambassador, right? It's the one with the highest points. So this is my primary leadership style. And ambassador, when I think about ambassador, that serves me well in a lot of different places. I get to use that skill set and it's needed in my role. However, if I'm not careful, the ambassador in me can also take a turn, right? I can be overcritical, right? Or because I care so much about the organizational image, right? I might move to action on something that I really didn't need to care too much about, right? And so I'd like for you all to, on your little whiteboards, write down your top legacy style. Yeah, your top legacy style.
Depending on the results that we got?
Yes, on the results that you got when you took the
I got a
test.
perfect score and all.
Wow.
You can do them all.
I lied. Perfect scores all the way. The other one.
Give everybody a quick minute to find their scores.
They were all pretty high. I don't even remember. I'm a truth seeker. The world's fastest. Did I send it? Okay, I was trying to look and I was like, did I send it to you? They're all low. I think people.
Own it.
You discussed the other junior years,
What, my what?
Brendan? Or you got it?
It's in here, but I can't find it.
Did you send it?
I didn't send it to you.
For your time. I just picked one.
He said,
There's three.
he's got a three-way tie. I have a two-way, so I'll just.
But you remember ambassador. If you all don't remember exactly, and you were
There you go.
to think about these, I'm gonna just give you a quick highlight before we share what we have. Ambassador, a strength of ambassador, builds strong external relationships and represents the organization well. An advocate, passionate about causes and fights for people and principles. A people mover, inspires and motivates others, focuses on talent development. A truth seeker, values accuracy, integrity, and clear thinking. A creative builder, innovates and brings visionary ideas to life. So if you all will take a minute to write down the one you feel you leverage the most on yours, and then we're gonna just kind of share that with the group. So if y'all will put your whiteboards up
Okay.
for everybody to see.
These were tied for me.
Okay, we talk about adult behaviors, right? And we all have them, right? What's important to note about what you bring to the table is the story behind this. Because as you all learn more about each other, what'll happen is you'll understand the why behind the action, right? So if someone is saying, or just wanting, like, wants to inspire people, or you see that coming out of Mr. Delgado, it's gonna make sense, right? Why that's something he's passionate about, like a pipeline or something that has to do with development, why? He's a people mover, right? If someone is really passionate and stuck on something and wants to make sure that something gets done, that's because they're advocating, right? And so you understand why things matter to each of us here in the room. And so what I'd like for you all to do is think about this. How does the style that you have influence your daily decisions? And then after you do that, this is important. Where does this style serve you well, and where might it limit you? What are the limitations of this style? Because this is where, if we're all responsible for our behaviors, right, we're gonna need to moderate, we're gonna need to step back sometimes for the good of the group, right? Because that's what a team does. So I'd like for you all to think about that, and then we'll have a little discussion about it.
So how does our top score limit us?
Yes. Yes. So you're gonna think about, how does this style influence your daily decisions, right? How does it show up for you daily? In your work, with peers, you know, on the team? And then where does it serve you well, and where does it limit you?
Okay.
Right?
Thank you.
Yes.
Your scores are high, man. That's impressive.
But there's some, it's like, I can't find my thing, but my score, and then it told me that there was 3 that I could be, no?
They were tied.
You probably have to retire.
Yeah. They said I could do 3, but anyway. So
Yeah,
what do we do now?
So just
How do you
think
get
about
to
one
it?
that you feel shows up the most for you as you think about what they all mean. And then where does it show up, where does it serve you well, and where might it limit you sometimes, right? And thinking, you know, I had shared earlier, my example with Ambassador, it helps me when I go and represent the district and things like that, that's where it shows up daily in my work, right? But if my limitation could be that I may focus too much on external perceptions, right, what people think, and that could jeopardize relationships, right? I might, you know, get upset about something when I really don't need to be. Why? Because I'm so focused, right, on what people think, because that's what I'm supposed to do. Okay, who wants to go first? How does this leadership style influence your daily decisions?
I would assume, for me, some people will, just not every day at work, you know, talking to people, you know, especially new people who get hired, training them, seeing what they're good at and how to handle people and how to talk to people correctly and, just for what it says, it's just seeing the potential in people, the talent spotter, career builder, motivator, someone, parental, gonna affect their work life. You know, they take negativity into the work life, someone can get hurt, they can get hurt, you know, and it's just not good for work. It's certainly, well, I guess because, I mean, I was a supervisor or a sergeant in the military, so, doing that, I like it, so I think that's where it serves me well, because I can see and help the younger kids grow up and, you know, get, you know, see what they're good at and how to do it, and then, I guess where it limits me is, I'm always wanting to help, and so maybe I'm overstepping my, you know, not my boundaries or whatever, like, I'm always trying to, well, here, do this, maybe that's where I limit myself at, is not being able to like step back and just let them grow on their own.
Great observation, thank you so much for sharing. Anybody else?
Mine, mine is, when I meet, I'm on a committee with, I'm a commissioner for the city of San Antonio, and we listen to cases, how I interact with the public that comes in to the city to appeal the citations. How the listening part is very handy, how I interact, but when I speak to them, I want them to understand where I'm coming from. I'm there to listen and help. It serves me well, learn how to communicate more, better. I've learned to be a listener more than a talker sometimes, and that helps a lot. The limit that I have is, I don't have any limits. I don't have any limits.
Thank you for sharing.
You want to start it though?
Well, if you can, just a few, if you'd like to share, if not, we can move on. There'll be plenty more opportunities for share. It's not a requirement that everybody go. But if there's anything you'd like to say around, any of these questions.
So I had a three-way tie, which is probably why I'm always confused and don't know what I'm doing. But I get people to follow me most of the time, and I have some good ideas. And I'm, you know, the truth seeker one always kind of felt natural to me, like, you know, even as a younger person. But I eventually kind of grew into like the people mover, not that, people mover. Yeah, not a people, people mover.
And he misspelled it too.
Okay. All right, it's enough. This is why I don't wanna say anything. The people mover, I had to kind of grow into that, cause I didn't really see myself as like a leader. That wasn't a thing that, you know, I thought growing up, just cause I was always, you know, on a team, but always under a coach or somebody else. But then also, the creative builder, that too, I kind of had to develop that, I think in graduate school, to have my own ideas and to implement them, you know, to the end, right? And so, I don't know, I mean, I had a three-way tie, but it makes sense now. I was not surprised on my lowest score. My lowest score was experienced guide and ambassador. I don't know what that says about me, but.
Well, here's the thing, we're not all tied to one, right? So this
Yeah,
isn't meant to put a label on you. It's
Put that
meant
down.
to help you learn a little bit more about yourself, and so I want to make sure that everybody knows that, right? These are just tendencies, it was a series of questions, it's something that's supposed to kind of evoke some sense of reflection, right? In terms of the things, I think everybody here has related to one of these though, right? Like you saw yourself in these, right? Maybe not to the degree of 24 here and 22 there and 20 and whatever the score is, but you saw the behavior, and that's really what the importance of this activity is. Before we move, does anybody else want to share? I haven't heard from Mr. Valdez. Did you want to say anything?
Yeah, for advocate, for influence daily, I feel as an advocate, I can see things differently, look for ways to help others, or speak up for others, and just being aware and alert. And I feel it serves me well because it makes me lead with a purpose, I guess, for others and stay focused. And for limit, I feel it can also slow people down because there might be something we're not wanting to advocate. So that's why I said that. And sometimes it might be hard to meet people in the middle.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Very, All right, if no one else wants to go, you good on this one?
I can go if you want to.
Yeah, go on.
Go again, True seeker.
Wake up.
But I feel that I could be a little bit of everything, you
Yeah.
know, cause times you have to change, do something, so I'm gonna go with true seeker because that's what I got, but this style influenced my decisions daily because I wanna be fair. Any decision that I make, I wanna make sure, try to make the right decision. Where does this style serve you well? In my job, in my life, everywhere? Because again, true seeker, and you don't wanna cause any problems or do anything that's gonna hurt anybody, cause then they don't trust you, and that ends all the leadership. And then where might limit you, where we have to make fast decisions, and there's not enough information, it limits my being able to make a decision.
Great. I tend to overanalyze in that area. Okay, yes, sir.
No, I was gonna say ideation.
Yes, ideation.
I'll share real quick mine. So mine was creative builder and ambassador were my top two. I had a tie role. So I see for me, the alignment is in other tests we've taken like this where it says that I'm futuristic. As a creative builder, my mind is geared towards creating something out of little or nothing. But it limits me too, and this is where I think as the team, we need to be listening to each other. If you think about the book From Soloist to Conductor, they use the example of the orchestra and how you're listening for other people. I think as we're listening to each other and we're learning to appreciate when we are in our strengths and sometimes when we're in our weaknesses. I remember I've got a team that grounds me, because I can get up in the clouds really quick. And I wanna create and I wanna undo. And my second skill comes in ambassador, which is I wanna take care of people. And sometimes you wanna build, but you can't take care of people at the same time, because they don't fit, there's not an alignment there. So for me, over the years, what I've tried to do is be receptive to feedback and coaching, because I have two of my folks here. They ground me when sometimes I start running with something, and they say, well, hold up, because we've already talked about this and that, and so for me, I set my limitations through my team, and I try to do that for them too, and so that's part of that self-awareness. I think Deanne was trying to get to this point earlier. The genesis starts with us, and self-accountability is important. It's not a destination you get to, it's a constant, but the way you build personal accountability, at least for me, has been, I have agency. I'm very self-aware of things. I sometimes have to talk to myself. No, I'm not crazy. I just talk to myself in terms of talking myself through things, because you can make difficult decisions, and it's hard for me too to make a decision not having a lot of information. But in our individual roles, sometimes you have to. Sometimes it's giving somebody advice, and you wanna do what's right for them, but then you remember, well, am I overstepping? Right? And you were just saying, Sergio, or Mr. Valdez, who's learning to understand through purpose. And I appreciate your honesty about sometimes that may limit me because it may be hard for me to come to the middle. I appreciate that. That takes a lot of vulnerability and self-awareness. And that's where we all start. Mr. Gomez, earlier, you mentioned, you know, I was in my, what did you say, did you say selfish? Is that what you said earlier? That's a lot of courage. And I have always appreciated that about this board. You've been very courageous to speak up about, we all have blind spots. I literally have one. But, you're my blind spot.
I'm right here.
I can't see you, that's why. But it's good. I love that we're having this conversation, because that's what builds good teams. So thank you for helping us do that, Ms. O'Neill.
Yes, sir. Okay, well, thank you all for participating. And now we're gonna move on to, I'm not sure why that's there on the slide, but, we're gonna move on to the standards of integrity. If you all could pull out of your binder the sheet that you all filled out around your standards of integrity. It looked something like this, right? You all filled out this piece of paper. I want you to take that out. If you have it in there, and if not, and you remember what some of those behaviors were and who you admired, you can pull that out. Didn't get to finish, you could do that. Yeah, yeah, however many you have.
You wrote it yourself.
I know, pero es que le puse Dr. J, Dr. F, Dr. C, and Dr.
all to think about people you admire, right? Because we tend to hang around with and associate with people that we value, right? The qualities, the characteristics. So as you think about the people that you value, write down a behaviors, a word that describes them, right? Maybe is, I value my friend Jackie because she's so humble, right? You know, I value my husband for his strength and he always sees the glass half full, right? Whatever the case may be. Because what you all are gonna do is you're gonna take those adjectives and you're gonna put one on each of the cards you have. So if you have 6 listed, you'll have 6 index cards with 1 word on each card, right? One descriptor.
Not writing their name.
No, you're just putting the description, right? What is the adjective that describes them? What is it that you value about them? Maybe it's integrity, it's strength, right? If you think about these here, these were the words, these are the SLT standards of integrity. A couple of years ago, we got together, we did a similar activity. And then we aligned on that. And then even though we might have said things differently, we came up with one word that we could all live with, and we anchored in that. So these are the SLT standards of integrity, right? You see bold, compassionate, courageous.
So we write it here, ma'am?
Yes, the word.
Each one?
Yes, so right here. Courageous, is that courageous?
Encourage.
Okay, encouraging, on your card. So big values.
Oh, it's just one.
Just one on each card, okay?
Can I have 2 more?
Yes, sir,
Oh
you
my
can have as
God.
many as you want.
Yay.
Yeah, and if there's
Doesn't have to
words,
be those
no, they're yours. These are just an example for you. Thank you for
Always
asking
special.
for clarity.
I have to be.
I agree.
Yeah. Preferred CD. They were gonna save those, Sergio.
That's what you were saying.
Now, they were gonna take a picture of all.
Yeah, we were gonna go back and analyze.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now you didn't do
Those people would be great.
People mover.
Oh,
Well, not people movers, that's something different. Deeper.
Just wait.
Wow.
Going on with this word.
Okay, y'all need about 2 more minutes? Okay, 2 more minutes.
Mhm. Were we also doing the underneath, these are my standards of integrity?
No, they're on your cards, so
Oh,
that's okay.
oh, it's
Yes.
the same thing,
Mhm.
okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna write it.
Yes.
What are we doing next?
Okay, everybody about ready? Here's what we,
Just
Where
so
you
you
admire.
yeah,
Yeah, for someone else.
yeah, we're giving everybody just another, quick minute to finish up writing the values, right? Their standards of integrity, so whatever you have listed here, the qualities that you're picking, become your standards of integrity, the things that you value? Sorry, y'all. I think somewhere in the conversion, it got a little wonky from PDF to PowerPoint.
Something wrong with me?
Well, just a little few things got,
Oh.
you know, just some small things.
Wonky.
The
I didn't
ambassador
notice
in
until
me
you-
is having
Add that to
that.
the dictionary.
Wonky.
Wonky. Yeah.
Can you write that one down?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't know that word?
I might
It actually is in the dictionary.
Thank you, Mina.
Mira's the first person I heard use that word.
Wonky. That's probably where I learned it from.
in the original.
Okay.
I've never been kind of wonky.
Okay, well, here's what we're gonna do. We are going to engage in a protocol called from me to we. We're gonna build some shared language around all of our individual values. And so what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna come over here to this table and you're gonna bring your index cards. And I want one of you to just start placing the index card down. And the rest of you will look at your index cards, and I want you to start clustering and grouping the index cards that are similar, right? Words that are about the same, so that we can think through the next phase of this, all right? Everybody understand that?
Yes.
Okay,
Just put them there.
So that table,
yes,
over there?
right over here on this table where we got some clearing, so let's go. We're gonna pick cards. Mr. Delgado, what do you got going on over there?
I tell you?
Yeah, let me see.
Okay, we're gonna hold this one. Mr. Delgado is putting down trustworthy, okay? There's trustworthy. Who has cards similar to that? Anybody else put trustworthy, trustfulness? There you go. Someone can start with another card if you like. You can put another card down if you like too. Or someone else can start another pile here.
Sorry, another one.
Very good.
What's that word?
Creative.
Okay. Compassion, inclusive. There we go, 3 for trustworthy. 2 for compassionate, caring, there we go.
It's my turn.
Awesome.
Fair, Rebecca? Fair, can
Here.
it, does
Fair.
it fit there?
Oh, no. Loving. Don't agree with my hand, it's okay.
Everybody's got
What is that,
commitment?
Yeah.
inclusive? Could loving go with caring? You all will make that decision
Yeah.
later. I
Oh,
want you
okay.
to think about
Yeah,
that,
okay.
okay? Someone can move it around.
Yeah.
Committed to each other.
Commitment, humility, committed,
I have humble.
humility, okay.
Focus.
I got focused.
Would that be the same as
There you
detail?
go.
Yeah, we'll
Oh,
put it
yeah,
in.
Detail?
exactly, yeah. And then you all can kind of decide if
But
you
I
wanna
mean,
group them
So
further.
there's compassion, empathy, they're about to, there it is.
No,
Compassion is right over here,
Oh,
and
okay.
empathy and compassion, there's a lot for empathy and compassion, wow. Okay,
Courageous, Nadia?
Thoughtful.
courageous, oh,
Courageous, I have courageous.
okay, well, let's put it down, we'll go through the cards again here in a little bit, okay?
Service.
Supportive.
Service, okay,
Supportive.
what is
Encouraging?
this strength? Oh, maybe
Supportive.
courage and strength, y'all could think of
Yes.
that, okay, there we go.
This one?
Encouraging.
Encouraging.
Oh, yeah, service,
Thoughtful,
thoughtful,
Is that empathy?
yeah, I would think empathy, right? You could put that with empathy. I don't know if it goes with inclusive too.
inclusive, I don't know, it's fine. Bold, what is that?
Bold,
Adventurous.
okay.
So that one
Courageous.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
courageous, bold, adventurous.
Courageous too, I guess.
Yeah.
Body by itself.
Would that, oh, that could go by itself, or you all can decide where you want it to go.
So does inclusive go over there?
Sorry.
Inclusive.
Yeah, bold would go with inclusive. You're workable,
Workable.
yeah,
You get along.
yeah, you want, yes, get along, right, with inclusive, like including
Yes.
everybody, okay, awesome. Does anybody have any thoughts around these words? So some of the things that I wanted you all to reflect on as you think about this is what's surprising you about today's conversation and this right here? Is there anything? Similarities, okay, so it's, okay.
Well, not surprising, but it's good similarities.
Yeah, we're
Awesome.
finally.
So you're pleasantly surprised is what I'm hearing you
Yeah.
say,
We have
okay?
more in common than.
Than not.
Okay,
Or more like.
awesome. So which shared values are resonating
That's why we're all
most
so
with you?
emotional over here. We're all,
Where?
no, I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
That's
there's
why
a
we're
lot.
all emotional wrecks.
Yeah,
We're
look
all-
at this. So
I'm
as
not
you.
over here, that ain't me.
Bold, courageous one.
Funny. But you're here, so that's somewhere in the middle, right? With that. So as you think about this right here, right, and the comment that Mr. Valdez made, so as you think about this shared value resonating most with you, what might you think about in terms of this team that kind of grounds the work, right? So you had talked about earlier, Mr. Gomez, when you were being vulnerable, and you said I was selfish, right? Sometimes that selfishness comes from a good place, right? And so I think what's important to know is this part of the work, right? Because who you are is gonna show up no matter what you say. And so this will help you come to an understanding about why people behave the way they behave, why they say what they say. And so what I'm seeing is that you all believe in compassion. And so as you think about this value, this should show up in your teamwork. So when someone makes a mistake, and we all are, right, we're human, this is where this will come up, and this is where the team will need you, right, for each other. So, can you all agree that this is probably one that you're gonna wanna commit to?
Being compassionate?
Yeah, you want compassion, so do you want it to say compassion, compassionate, what would be your standard compassion? Yes? Okay, so this is one. We don't have to make all the decisions today, but we know that we have one. What I can go back and do is I'll go back and type these up, and then we'll make another, the next time we meet, we can make some more decisions.
Cause some of them could maybe merge, right? Cause there's only.
Yes.
Correct, and
Yeah.
if you see some now that you wanna easily move, like strategic, focused, unless you want this to be a word, like if whoever put these words, you might say, even though there's three, I don't think it means strategic, I wanna keep this as a core value or a standard.
That's just one word, so that needs to go with another one.
I think EISD
Committed.
go together.
Committed and
Focus and
focused,
committed,
yeah, let's
okay.
put those together.
Okay,
There you
awesome.
go.
And so what would be another standard of integrity? Do you want commitment? So you have compassion and commitment? Is that what I'm hearing? We're okay with not
Yeah.
saying focused in there? Fantastic. You got any more that you wanna easily combine?
This is a big one, I've heard a lot of you talk about service, encouragement, supportiveness, it kinda goes with empathy and the other ones. This is what I hear a lot of y'all talk about, having service to our community, things
Same
like that.
down with compassion, or what do you
It
say?
could be its
It
own
could
service.
stand
Oh,
by
its own
itself. It
service.
could.
Oh,
It
service.
could, remember, you don't have to combine all of them.
Oh,
But then there's, look, humility and thoughtfulness goes with service, I think.
Yeah.
Could we combine those?
Yeah, okay, awesome.
So like, can they be humble to inclusive and being admirable? Cause you need to be.
Is inclusive the same as thoughtful? You're being thoughtful?
Yeah.
they're opposites, or
They're opposite?
no.
Humility, I think service is humility,
Yeah,
but that's just
yeah,
my thoughts.
yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah, they go together,
Okay,
all of them,
what about these?
yes.
This is being open-minded, inclusive. I think this is its own here, but service is one,
Okay.
right?
Yeah,
So
you
we
see
all want
people-
service as another standard of integrity? We might knock this out right
I mean,
now
that's what, I think
today.
that's, yeah, we're gonna do
Okay.
that.
Okay.
That's what we're doing. I
And
think.
honestly, this
Okay.
one can just be trustworthy.
That's
Yes,
right.
agree,
Okay.
Yeah.
agree.
All right,
Trustworthy,
let's
that's
put
what-
it.
And this one
Awesome.
courageous,
That's courageous, I was gonna say. The
Okay.
top words, all those are courageous.
We're the GT.
I know.
We're still
GT.
kinda.
Courageous, awesome, I love it.
So this was so inclusivity, being open-minded is being inclusive, it's being
Yeah.
thoughtful. If you think about it, there's levels of creativity in that.
Okay,
Now-
okay.
When you're you're being creative, you're inclusive, you're thoughtful, are you strategic? Well, that to me is a little,
And you all-
strategic's more maybe there, commitment?
And it could stay by itself, just because one person put it doesn't mean that the rest of the group doesn't wanna own it. Okay, so I don't want you to feel like you're limited to the cards here or the word
Right.
here. As you all are reflecting on these words, you might come up with another word that you feel embodies what everybody valued here.
You said one word, but I forgot what you said, but
it took it,
What did I say? Inclusive.
You're one to take.
I know.
Yeah, this takes-
I gotta pay the
What did
thing,
he
you know,
say?
you have to
I'm
be
trying to think of
just.
the word he
I
said.
don't
You
know.
did, say it earlier, I'm trying to think of what you
Inclusive,
said.
when you're being inclusive, you're being amenable, you're open-minded, you're thoughtful, you're,
It was like two words, but it was one.
Yeah. Open-minded, you're
Open-minded.
open-minded, so
Open-minded.
maybe that's another one, so now, if you, so
These
look,
three open-minded?
yes, so I'll get another index card if someone wants to write open-minded on it. If you have a blank one, that's perfect. Oh, we got one, thank
I
you.
got it.
Okay, so now we have compassion, committed, service, trustworthiness, courageous, open-minded,
These fit, I think, somewhere in.
okay,
Strategic.
strategic
What do you
and
have in
creative.
strategic?
With focus,
Or it
okay,
could be by itself too, remember?
committed.
Yeah, let's put it on.
Nice.
And we can see if you wanna leave it or not. So do we wanna add all the cards so everybody's thinking is here? And then determine if there's anything else to combine?
We
Or do you
creative,
wanna
we
walk
open-minded?
around with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Right.
7, 8?
Yeah.
So creative, I think, goes
Okay,
with
yes,
open-minded.
yes,
Because you're creating, because you can
yeah,
open-minded.
okay.
Right?
Can y'all live with that? Do you want it to say
Yeah.
open-minded?
Yes.
Okay,
And I
Yes.
think strategic goes with focus and commitment and all that, no?
Where's,
Yeah, I agree.
okay, so we're gonna put here, do you want it to say strategic or committed?
I say committed.
Yes,
Because remember,
committed.
this word matters.
Committed.
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
There you go.
Well, thank you
That's it.
very much.
We're done.
The next
All
time
right.
we meet, you'll have your own standards of integrity.
Yeah.
Good job.
Wow.
Record
Because we're the
speed.
same.
That's it. It took us forever.
This took hours to see this.
It took us 2
Hours.
meetings.
Yeah,
It took us
took
2
a long
meetings.
time.
Mirna hit us.
Yeah.
We're efficient,
Yeah.
we're efficient.
That was
Efficiency.
fantastic.
That should have been a word, efficient.
Miss Castillo.
I think it's pink.
What? No, no se pare, no. Wonky.
Wong
It's a
Wong.
real word in the
No,
dictionary, y'all.
no, that's
It really
his,
is in the
that's your
dictionary.
team, Wong.
Yes, it is a
It is
real
in the
word in the dictionary.
Wonky is in
I know, I'm already
We have a
learning.
conference.
W
Yes.
O N K Y.
Really wonky.
Man, we're wonky.
Crooked, off center, or askew.
It's Poland, they were trying to Poland.
Oh.
They just turned the air right on.
Nice.
They just came in.
Oh, similar wonky.
Well, thank you all very
Okay.
much.
All right, the time is now.
Are we done? Well,
No,
almost
we're
done.
not. We're
Almost.
another hour.
Okay, ready? Okay, so here's our next activity. We have about 2 more and then Mr. Chavez.
Okay.
Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna engage in a little reflection and we're gonna share what we learned around chapters 1 and 2. So this is a little paper journal. If you have another way of documenting your notes and your thinking, you are not obligated to use this. This is here to provide you with a tool to use. It'll be ready for you throughout the chapters. Kept kind of the sequence of questioning the same, so you get used to kind of conditioning the way you're thinking through this work. And so this is the journal that you all can put in your binder. We can give you a hole punch it later for you if you like, or you can put it in the pocket, okay? So I'd like for you all to take out your books and or your handout that's there. And what I'd like for you all to do is just reflect on chapter 1 for right now, okay? And I'd like for you all to use the journal to start writing down your thinking. This little paper journal. So we created a paper journal for you, and if you go to the paper journal that you have a handout on, you have here, it says chapter, number, and title. Okay, you can just put the number 1 if you want, okay?
Can you give me that to look at?
Oh, yes, sir.
The whole bunch.
Oh, yes, here you go. Right, and the first question that you can reflect on, and remember, you don't have to answer everything, right? You're putting your reflections. So it says, write 2 to 3 key takeaways from the book. What did you walk away with from chapter 1? Then what's really important is to engage in self-assessment. After you read the chapter, right, and have internalized what you learned, on a scale of 1 to 5, how well do you currently practice the leadership concept from the chapter? And you'll just give yourself a quick rating. Of course, we want that to be a very honest rating.
Wait, what did you say?
So on question number 2, what's really important, you don't have to, you might put 1 takeaway, right? And that's okay, but for every chapter, we'd really like for you all, so that you can see a culmination of your learning and the practice that you do, to just self-assess, as of right now, where do I see myself in this learning? And then you see the rest, a quote that resonated, you could just put the page number if you like, an application, And then what's important is a mini shift. What's one little thing you can do based on what you learned that is going to help you improve your leadership? Okay? I'll give you some time to do that for chapters 1 and 2. Will 10 minutes work for you all? Can we commit to 10 minutes to just get some thoughts down? Okay.
To do how much, ma'am?
Just put a couple of thoughts. You're just gonna do
Okay.
some quick share outs, okay? This is for you. This whole work that we're doing is really about you.
So one page chapter one page chapter two.
Yes, sir.
What was that called that we did right there?
This is, your,
Leadership,
Values or what?
leadership,
they are your values.
yeah.
Values?
Yes, ma'am.
What you value in leadership.
It's your integrity, it's standards of integrity. Thank you.
Ah.
Yes.
It's your standards of integrity. Another focus.
Dang it.
what portion of the time in the agenda is spent on student outcomes and. Yes, sir.
I had to go look for it, I was like, there's only so many.
Keep it in your car.
My car, yeah.
You know, you're transit traffic.
Yeah.
Mine goes 77 public road. It's not transit.
Oh.
I like
And you can go out.
each his own.
No,
Melissa.
well, 'cause
If you're
I'll start
exercising,
listening, I'll start like dozing off,
oh,
you know.
what if you're lifting weights that you have leadership?
Leadership.
Leadership, no, you're lifting.
How much does it cost?
Which one?
Way more than we can afford.
Probably.
Yeah.
Just that's a lot.
No, you don't, we're gonna keep those, those are yours. Okay, we're gonna have a discussion, everybody ready, who needs another quick minute? Do we need another minute?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am?
No, we're ready.
Valdez, you need another minute?
You just really want us to do this?
Yeah, it just, y'all, it's really just for you all to talk, you can go and fill it more out later if you'd like, it's just to get us started, so that you have a place to launch into conversation. Okay? Just wanted to give you a moment to ground yourself around that. And the next time you come, you'll have that filled out already.
Of course.
Ah, see?
Is that our homework?
It's your homework.
Remind me the day before.
Thank you.
Oh, you know what?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Ready.
All right, so we are going to talk about chapter one. Chapter one, what every leader needs to leadership. All right, so you all have had some time to work in your journals. So I'd like to, before we get started on this reflection question that I have here listed for you all, I'd like for you all to just maybe popcorn out something, you can share a quote, a key takeaway, something that resonated with you.
From chapter one?
From chapter one
Yes.
only. Let's talk about chapter one. Who wants to go first? Yes, sir, Mr. Gomez.
I gotta highlight something.
Okay.
What I took away from chapter one, is the key is to learn how to continually make leadership. What is leadership? It is the ability and willingness to make a leadership change that will possibly enhance the organization and personal growth.
There we go.
Awesome, thank you. Did everybody hear that?
Yes.
I didn't hear it.
Read it.
What page is that on, sir?
I zoned out, no. What page is it? 4.
Page 4 at the bottom. That was pretty profound, right?
Yes.
Because it sets the stage for leadership team.
I'll go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I lifted the one that says, good leaders adapt, they shift, they don't stay static, and they practice they practice the mental flossing of their mind.
Mhm.
I really stuck, that
I
stuck
like
with me
that.
when I read this book.
I like that.
So, you know, you clean your teeth out with, if you're cleaning your ideas out, and when you're doing, that's always stuck with me, that's a good one.
I like that. Right, anybody else wanna, this is open forum discussion, this is book talk,
Okay,
okay?
I got one. I did have that one too, the good leaders adapt, but no, it's just. Well, and if you don't, huh?
Get your own idea.
Well, that was mine first. And if you
Fast,
don't, and if you don't contradict yourself on a regular basis, then you're not thinking.
Love that.
That's a good one.
That's why I'm always contradicting myself, because I'm always thinking. Yeah.
And then things change.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Okay, anybody else?
Mine's just simple, leadership isn't easy.
Ah,
Yes.
leadership isn't easy. Okay, Mr. Valdez?
Since things I put, first I put learn, unlearn, and relearn, that really stuck out to me, and we saw it in, the training.
Yeah,
Mhm.
LSG?
And then
Yes.
I also wrote like little quotes, like thinking like the future, thinking about the future, but today will be different than how it's gonna be tomorrow. And then I also wrote today's today, and it's not how it was in the beginning.
I like that.
Awesome, great,
We have to think forward.
yes, you
Yes,
do.
yes.
Anybody else?
Just one of the quotes that I think is, we can have recovered yesterday, but tomorrow
today's best will not meet tomorrow's challenge.
Yep,
I thought that was very good too.
yep, speaks a lot about
Resonates with
involving.
what Mr. Val and Michael said. It's really, I like those.
Anything else? Does anybody, wanna share what is one practical action that you can try this week based on this chapter? Anybody wanna go and share something they wanna try? You don't have to,
I
I'm just
just put,
putting it out
try
there.
fencing out more, I guess in the sense of like trying to learn more and figure out what more I can do. I don't know about putting that right contents of what it's supposed to do, but try to fence out, see what more, how, I guess, better leader in a way I can be. That's
Good.
So you'll continue to keep an open mind and grow, awesome, one of your standards of integrity.
Mm-hmm, I was thinking that.
Yeah. Anything else? Ms. Castillo, anything you wanna share before I?
From chapter 1,
Yes, ma'am.
Can I read on what you're looking for? Yes,
Sure.
you know?
Go ahead.
I
Yes,
read-
sir.
There's one chapter one that really, again, caught my, start asking more questions instead of giving more answers.
Oh,
Are you
wow.
willing to become a better listener and a better observer?
Mm. That's really good.
Profound.
Mm-hmm.
Some good discussion, you all highlighted a lot of great stuff. Ms. Castillo? Do you wanna share?
I thought it was about the whole session, not just the chapter, but today, what I liked about us identifying our style and being able to share with the group similarities, but one that I have a question about is leadership standard of integrity. Because my question, since she presented it, is it good or bad? Because it says, you think? What you, they're expecting what you,
Oh, what you said on the card.
Did you wanna?
the one in the card.
Yeah, they're gonna do it.
Yeah, so with what I have allowed people to expect of me, to the degree I have allowed them to expect it, by when I have allowed them to expect it. Is that wrong? Is that a negative thing, or what? A
It's
positive?
a think about thing. It's, am I doing what I told someone I would do and holding my word?
Mm.
Okay, so I've been good at that, except that right now, like today, it's like, I'm doing the things they expect me to do, to the degree they're expecting me to do it, and all this, but it's a lot of them at once, because they're all renewing their certifications, so.
Work.
It's showing up in your leadership role.
Yeah.
It's showing up in your
Yep.
leadership role because they're all calling you. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like, oh, yeah, okay. I'll help
Good
you
question,
with-
good
yeah.
think, actually.
I love the connection.
Yes,
Yeah.
me too.
Okay, so before we move on to chapter 2, is there anyone who wants to dig into this reflection question? Think about a time you resisted change. How did that impact your effectiveness? Because this is about change.
The one Mr. Holmes did earlier.
Earlier, right, about being
Yes,
selfish?
Yes, that was
Okay.
great. That was a great reflection.
Yes, it was. Anybody else?
I mean, before, towards the last, personally, I just refused to change, I just didn't want to grow up with that, and people got hurt, and, but, you know, I mean, I think I learned from that, and I've been able to grow from that, so, to the point where I'm here, I'm here now, so.
That's awesome. Congratulations. All right.
Can I add something to that?
Yes, and then we got Mr.
Or go,
Gomez.
let him go first.
I read this, and it, for some reason or other, it's a quote from Zig Ziglar.
Mm.
And it says, you can get everything in life you want, if you will just help enough other people get what they want.
I wrote that down too. That sticks with me.
I'm
Yeah.
like, wow.
And that's exactly what I was gonna talk about, because I have that circled in my book as the very, very end today. I'm glad you brought that up. And going back to the breathing, when I had you deep breathe, and then we just went on like nothing, like I didn't even say it. If you give yourself pause, like breathing, and taking deep breaths, and just finding a moment of silence to do this reflection. We don't do that enough for ourselves. Even 5 minutes, not driving in the car, because there's other things going on there you need to be alert to. But how do I set time to reflect, to ensure that I'm living up to my standard of integrity, that items that you guys listed, how are you going to reflect on that to measure yourself? Because I am the only one that can measure me. The other people have an interpretation of what they think, but you know down in your heart, if you really think hard and clear, that did I live up to my standard of integrity? Did I loosen some of those spokes on the wheel, or are they all still tight? Every day, how are you going to measure that?
I feel like these trainings, and other trainings, like even the teacher ones I go to, I think they're the only time I like get to stop and like reflect.
Yes.
Cause every other time it's,
You're running around.
I forget to, but I have to plan my reflection time, and sometimes it, gets bottled up. I mean, this is another reason why I really wanted this for us, for me, so I can have
For
time to reflect. For me, yeah, see, I'm trying, practicing. Because yeah, I mean, even though, it's after work and it's after the whole day, this is still good. I'll feel like lighter after doing this because there's not a lot of space or time made in our normal, every day, at least not, rather, in my normal day, there's no time for it.
And when I have the time to reflect like this, I'm so glad that I still follow everything that,
Mhm.
cause but I guess it's already instilled in me, I don't know.
Yeah.
Good observation, that's great.
Yes, thank you all, thank you for sharing that. Chapter 2 is really the focus shift, right, from soloist to conductor. So if you all wanna jump in, I listed a couple of key takeaways, I'm not gonna read those, you guys have talked through them, but is there anything you all wanted to discuss here around chapter 2 before we kind of close out? Again, kind of
Chapter
same
one?
format.
Two.
Chapter 2,
We're in chapter 2 now. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we're
I
moving.
didn't-
Okay.
Okay.
Change focus from receiving to giving, which is something that I feel that satisfies me a lot. Giving, I don't, me da vergüenza cuando they give me. Pero wanting others to shine more than you do, yes, I always tell whoever I'm training, you gotta do better than me. You're gonna do better, you're younger. Man, I know, I can do it. So, that's what you need to tell them, that you believe in them.
That's awesome, Mr. Valdez.
I will let others lead, and I'm not in the spotlight, cause it's about everyone, but I also put, making others feel comfortable. But I think, like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be thinking this, but like, letting others lead, like, it's kind of like Dr. Hernandez bringing in the team, senior leadership team, interact with us, so I like that.
Thank you.
I wrote for mine, which is when I try to practice, is step beside people, not in front of them, not behind them. Step beside people, listening to them and talking about the journey. Because I mean, again, we said earlier, we found there's so much more we have alike that we don't, and we need to focus on that. But when you talked about how hard it is if you don't put time in to reflect, if you don't mark it in your day. But think about how valuable, think about the people in your journey that stopped, as busy as they were, to pour into you. You always talk about how you pour into people. You're talking about how you've been reflective about it. You talk about how you're doing things at work. You're talking about how you notice the appreciation for people who know how to lead and also how to follow. That's important. So that feeling of listening to people and our leadership technology says our people matter. You demonstrate that people matter when you stop and you give them your full attention. That goes a long way. They'll remember more that you sat and you listened, because eventually it'll hit them in the head, that Mr. Delgado's as busy as I am, but he took 5 minutes to hear me. Because doesn't it always feel like you're walking alone, you're alone, no one understands? So, some of us, it's hard for us to say it, but literally through life, we feel like we're always by ourselves. So when somebody slows down and listens, it just creates this resonance in the group. And that is one of the values that you guys talked about. So I'm listening for what you guys are saying. I commend you for being vulnerable. I commend you for being engaged in this work. And I commend you for using real examples, your own. That's not easy to do, guys. That is not easy to do. So that's what resonates to me, is stopping and listening and walking side to side with people.
Thank you. Anybody else?
One from chapter 2, you can be a successful person on your own, but not a successful leader. To me, that one was like interesting, because there are people that I see are successful and whatever, but still seem kind of, like you said, like lonely and anything, or, you know, I don't know, that just made me think of, you know, is it really, does everyone want to be a leader? Are they just okay about being successful versus actually wanting to be a leader? And I think there are both kinds of people, right? But, you know, I don't know, I wanna be both. I wanna be successful, but also, you know, in our position, in all of our positions in the community and everything, like, you know, we have to be good leaders as well, or else it won't work as well as it can.
Well, who's next here? That's my
Mhm.
concern.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who's next?
Yes.
So I wanna say something, a little comment, lo que estaba, what Dr. Hernandez just said about where you sit. Did you all read where this other bishop was talking about Father Pope Francis? That he said that he made you feel comfortable because he would never sit in front of you or above you. When you went to his office, he sat next to you, always. And that's what you were talking about, right? It's like next to them or listen to them. It's very important that we do that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you
Mm-hmm.
for sharing that.
Thank you.
And you said something that caught my mind back to the very beginning of when I started interacting and working with the district, when Ed and I started, was that we're creating a legacy and creating systems in place that help guide the next generation of board members and district members, district staff, by setting all of the LSG standards out there and following, you know, your calendar, all those things are processes that you've put in place. Your monitor and report, so you're setting it up for success in the future.
For the next ones, yes.
Well, thank you so much. This does conclude our hour. So before we close out, just kind of next steps, you all have your journal, so if you will read chapters 3 and 4, follow your journal template, and come prepared to share again. We will bring your standards of integrity, and feedback is a gift, so Maria over there is going to capture some thoughts. You don't have a Post-it note, that's okay, she's got it over there, but does anybody want to provide any feedback on how we can improve our leadership journey together through this book?
Can I say something right now?
Yes, sir.
I need to get something off the chest. I'll be 74 next month. I'm always busy. And I'm gonna be perfectly honest with everybody here. I can't remember the last time that I actually picked up an actual book and read it.
Mm.
And I'm reading this one. So it's gotta say something. Gotta say something.
Thank you.
You know, I'm just, my wife looked at me the other day when I was reading, and she went and called my daughter.
Is that what's wrong with that?
Yeah. It's up to your dad. So my daughter went across the street, Dad, what the hell are you doing, Dad? You reading? But, thank you.
And I think,
Playing on that,
It's
I
an
was
extra.
reading the book again, my girl goes, are you actually reading? I was like, oh, yeah. It's just,
It's an experience.
I'm looking for pictures, it's not.
keep reading, they're in the back. Keep reading. Well,
Thank you.
I also wanna say it's also, I think, that we're all doing the same thing. I think that also matters, that we're all reading the same book, we're all kind of going along together. Again, that loneliness, like, we're not just reading for, you know, just for our own, but also to be a better team, you know, cause to me, I'm like, we're holding each other accountable, cause I'm like, I need to read it, like, if I don't, you know, it's hard for me to, you know, to call you up, Mr. Gomez, I'm not kidding. But, I'm just saying, like, it holds, I think, each other accountable if we're doing the same thing. You know, and I was fortunate enough to have, you know, jury duty over spring break, so I was able to read ahead. Because if otherwise, I don't know if I would have made the time. But, no, I'm glad that we're doing it together and that you're reading, Mr. Gomez.
Thank you.
Okay.
I need to buy the audio.
The audience, that's what everyone says.
Thank you very much for your time and attention. I look forward to our next meeting, and now I have Mr. Chavez.
I mean, as he's walking up, guys, so Dr. Hernandez and I met months ago, we talked about, so this is the procedural part of for next year. Part of the work of the board is to sit as members of the board advisory committees throughout the district. Dr. James asked me to do a presentation on what the different advisory boards are. I think the request, when you leave today, we're gonna give you, I think the next Friday, Amelia, we said?
Yes.
If you will email Amelia which
Thursday.
2 committees you would like to be, us to consider. I'm gonna sit with the board president based on all your different, selections, and we'll determine where folks end up in terms of advisory meetings, taking into consideration things like people, jobs, schedules, things like that. Some of these meetings are during the school day, so some of that's gonna need to be thrown in there. But we did wanna give you some idea of what is the work of each one of these committees as we start closing out this meeting today. Mr. C is gonna help us with that today.
Before I get started, I just want to say, having the honor and opportunity to sit here and listen to this board go through these, trainings and really these epiphanies, I see that you all are very vulnerable. And that's really a quality that's very hard, people to let go of. You know, even as a leader, you try to have people open up. And I just want to say, I'm very proud that I work in a district with a board that has the ability to come out here and talk real stuff about their feelings and about how they feel. And learning that book, we did it over, how long?
A year.
About a year. And like I said, it took us 2 meetings to get the standards down. You guys, wham, wham, you're done. So I just wanna tell you, I'm really proud to be part of a district who has a board such as y'all. And so thank you for that. And also, I'd like to publicly thank Ms. Salinas. She kind of sharpened the saw with us, which is a huge group. And you can imagine all of them like me and Miss Martinez, you know, we're kind of headstrong. So, great job.
Kind of. Kind of.
Kind of.
That's not true.
No. But also Dr. Hernandez, who brought in this whole idea of the unity and studying this particular book. Thank you. Okay, advisory committees, right? But I have like 25 minutes to go over this, so I'm gonna make sure that I get every second done. Okay, the board advisories consist of these 4: district safety, facilities and finance, strategic planning, and school health. I think all of you are familiar with all of these, so I'm gonna go through this real quick. The SHAC, or the School Health Advisory Council, they have these meeting dates, and the members, Mr. Vino leads that, and Mr. Gomez, you're the board member on there. Here's a brief description of that. I do believe that we're familiar with this, a lot of the mindsets for health, and also the different types of materials that we use, the different programs that we bring in, is a very critical advisory group to the superintendent, eventually to the board. And again, it has some outlines, how many people serve on this. At least 5 members to the SHAC will be appointed by the board. A majority of those should be parents, right? So, and one of those members shall serve as co-chair or chair. Okay, the next one, Strategic Planning Advisory Committee. This was a strategic plan that was developed under the tutelage of Ms. Salinas as Chief Innovation Officer at the time. This is where we got our Edgewood ISD North Star goal and the 6 locally developed strategic goals, right? And this has guided all of our work since it was adopted by the board. And it provides our framework for our vision, goals, and all the work that we do. So on here, Mr. Hernandez sat on this particular advisory committee, along with Ms. Salinas and myself. The Facilities and Finance Advisory Committee, the function of this is to provide strategic advice and recommendations to the board on facilities, right? Of course, this particular group is the group that led last year's school evaluation piece, and also set up the actual facilities and committee, Rethink Redesign Committee. Dr. Basuto, Mr. Williams, Ms. Martinez, Mr. Hinojosa, and of course we had 3 individuals, Mr. Guerra, Mr. Espinosa, and Mr. Santoya at the time. So there's 3 positions here that will be part of this group. This will also lead further discussions as we go forward through this financial change that we see coming in front of us. And so that's the Facilities and Finance Advisory Committee.
That's on the school safety.
Safety.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
You
safety
mentioned
meeting.
it, but the slide's
The
missing.
one
the
where
slides. Okay, you can just improvise.
Yeah,
that.
there was it. So the school safety committee, is a committee that meets twice a year, and I believe on that committee is
It's
Ms. Castilla
Ms. Castilla who closed out, she
Yeah.
was our board president, and Mr. Valdez.
and Mr. Valdez, and, chief police,
Uh-huh.
Chief
And
Police
Mr. Williams?
and Ms. Dr. Mathis.
Dr.
oversees it.
Mackins, good. So, these are the four, sorry, I don't know what happened to that particular slide.
So guys, what we're asking is that you select, by the time you get this PowerPoint, we'll add that slide, so no, we'll add it in on the end before. But we would ask you to send Ms. Amelia your top two choices by May first, and then I'll schedule a time, the board president and I meet quite frequently, for our own meeting, and then I'll bring it up, and then we'll make some determinations. As I mentioned before, we do take into consideration your schedules, like I know some days of the week are better for Ms. Castilla, for Mr. Delgado, for Mr. Valdez is in school, Frank, also Mr. Espinosa's in school, so we try to take all those things into consideration, and then times. Cause I know the meeting that Dr. Hernandez had, you guys used to meet in the evenings, online, and that, in some of these instances, they can be online, like that strategic one, that was online, cause it's really not a committee, it's two staff members, we created that internally. The ones that are required are the safety committee, those are required by the state. The facilities and finance, we created because of the current state of affairs with our buildings and things like that, so, wherever you think your expertise is, or wherever you'd like to, just navigate to and learn something new, that's also important, you've heard both Dr. James and myself talk over the years about, it's important that you continue to learn as a board member. And so any questions on anything in this particular segment? We'll put that in there, right? Okay, all right, well then that is about to bring us to a close, I'll close this out, so. So today, again, today, we have these things we wanna talk about. I wanna thank Deanne for coming in and talking to us about Lone Star Governance. I love the fact that you guys were able to connect, the group was able to connect, the work of Lone Star Governance. We are the genesis of everything. Our standards of integrity we carry with us. I appreciate that. I love that you went to go to the teacher residency also. I hope that as we schedule these, we're gonna schedule these again in July, we're gonna have another one. Because in July, we only have one board meeting. It's a little bit of a lighter one, that might be a good one also. I'm hoping we have some activity going on. Remember, it's the summer, a lot of people are mostly gone. But it may be an opportunity to do something in the district, to even include maybe walking a building on the facility side. That might be a good one. Remember, you told me, Mr. Valdez, that's what I'm remembering. So we may schedule something with Mr. Williams next time. So again, you'll see members of the cabinet come through here at times. They're subject matter specialists in areas, so it'd be great to bring Mr. Williams, have us walk a building, and what are the things that we look for in our work, but also that you may get a question from. You may have a curiosity from. So we'll work that into our next one. And then we thank you for participating in developing our own standards of integrity as a team. Yes, I commend you for doing that in under 30 minutes.
It goes around.
Took us a while.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we closed out with the board committee groups and assignments. So I would ask that you please go ahead and send those to us next week. I'm gonna go back real quick to some things that, can you take me back to that pipeline? And then I'll close this out.
I wanna keep, I like that we were actually able to see the,
Yes.
the in action. I wanna see if we can keep doing stuff like that, where we can actually just observe it happening in real time.
Right. We'll try to
Yeah.
align those for when school's going, but
Yeah.
July would be great because the building's empty.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
we can
yeah.
see, we can walk with you guys, that can be part of, we'll work it, I think it'd be great if we continue the LSG conversation, obviously the leadership thing.
Yeah.
We'll try to do sometimes policy or
Mhm.
with legal, and then we can have an activity,
Yeah.
that'd be great. Okay, well, I'll talk through it, so in the beginning, what I had mentioned, maybe it stays in this week.
Yeah.
There you go. I might have to do it. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so I mentioned, these are the 4 overall topics we would like to do in the course of the year. Now, we're extending these, so this is the general idea, right? Leading self, that's what we're working on right now. Next time you come, we're gonna move into the leading others piece, so that'll be part of our goal setting, because I think that's chapter 3. We'll stay there two visits, right, July and September, and then we'll lead on to the 2 other areas. So, I'll close this with that. Are there any questions, thoughts, ideas, recommendations, anything else, or anything you wanna elevate that you wanna affirm, you saw today, and then anything that, you wanna share back to speak of, we'd be open to that. We've got a little bit of time. Yes, ma'am.
I want to thank y'all for doing this because one, we get to reflect and learn something new. But for me, when we come together like this and learn together, we figured out we have a lot of commonalities, and that excites me. I'm excited about the board again.
Yes.
That we're moving forward, that we're all focused together. Because there was a little struggle, but
Yes.
I hope that we're now together, because hard times are coming, and we should not be separated. We
Yes.
need to be together.
I agree.
You know, there's a book I read a few years ago called Good to Great, and the only way you can go to being a great team is that if you do have challenges and struggles.
Mhm.
It's not about the players involved in it, it's more about the opportunity to struggle collectively. So I appreciate your comment, because yes, there is a lot more that we have in common. You know, I'm looking forward to going with you guys to Fort Worth. I'm looking forward to presenting. We're gonna present. We'll get with you on that. We're gonna present. We got 2 great topics that were added. You'll present with us. There's members of the cabinet that will present with you, but you're gonna present to your peers. You're gonna present to board members from across the state of Texas. Not everybody does that. And so again, that journey would be great for this team to go through, because we've done it before. It's great to go to dinner afterwards and talk and just let loose and talk about a little bit about, hey, so I've heard you guys say it before. I was real nervous about saying this in front of so many people, but then in the end, it's like, because these rooms are full. Not that I'm trying to scare anybody. They're full of people. There's at least 100 people in the room. And so I'm looking forward to that. So thank you, ma'am. Anybody else?
And are we gonna present this work eventually in the future?
Amelia and I have been talking about presenting this
Yeah.
model at
Yeah,
one of
because it
the,
is-
we'll be going to Houston in September. So we are submitting some topics for Houston.
Okay.
And I'm looking at Terry, because this would be a great presentation at the state one in Houston. So the state is
Yes.
all, so the one we're going to Fort Worth is, you get 2 choices, Fort Worth or San Antonio, so everybody splits.
Yeah.
But the one in September here is the entire state, all 1,100 school boards show up.
Yes.
So that would be a great.
That's what I like, when they show
So and I wanna also mention, you know, thank all of y'all for being here, especially the board. But I like doing things like that no one's done before. That's why I'm like really excited about this. And when we started talking about it, like, I mean, it's been about a year,
Yes.
you know, or maybe a little bit less than that. But yeah, I wanna keep doing things that no other boards are doing, that no other school districts are doing. Cause we are small, but I mean, I'm stuck on doing stuff that can change the way people view things, to change that mindset of people. Cause if we can't do it with, you know, other resources, well, we're at least gonna change people's mind, we're at least gonna change, you know, the way things are normally done. And so that's what gets me excited, is that newness, that like, you know, how it's gonna go well, is it not gonna go well? And, you know, frankly, like, since we talked about it, everything, all the pieces seem to be going like we planned it, which is amazing. But, you know, maybe there will be a hiccup eventually, but then we can always
normal.
build
But
on
we know
it.
each other
That's
and say,
normal.
and
Yeah,
know who can
yeah.
go in the front.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And
Because
we're
leaders don't
considered a
always
medium
are at
sized
the
district.
front.
Come on.
Oh, we're medium
We're
sized?
considered, small
okay,
districts
well,
are
we're
anything
medium.
under 3,000. We're
Okay.
considered a medium sized.
So we're medium. Wow, I haven't been a medium in years, but wow.
I argue with superintendent. Yes, sir.
Okay.
I just wanted to say, I really do like what you said, like being in front of the teachers. You talked about the little trip. But one thing that maybe we can do, maybe in the future, I don't know when, but really being in front of students, seeing students learn, seeing students in where they're at, the schools. Cause I think sometimes, like, as a board member, like, we know we're here for the students, for the district, but just seeing them in action, seeing them learn, it's just really rewarding. Like, that's what we do with the leadership academy.
Yes.
They put you in front of students, as a TASB, they take you some trips down to the school districts to see the students. So I think that would be nice.
Yeah.
I agree. Amelia, would you? go to-
Everywhere that we can't go, sir, take us back.
Let me get you to look at this one, so you notice, that these are extended topics, but we are gonna get to a point where in probably December, we're gonna go to the leading leaders part. So, that's a great month to actually to visit a school, either September or December, because here's the only thing, we would ask you, it would need to be during the day.
Yeah.
So I realize everybody's schedule's different, we need to really think about how we can get this done. But I'd love to do it in the library. The activity would be doing learning walks with you guys. Those of you that were on the board at the beginning years, we were doing learning walks, we were walking in school in classrooms. So we would love to go right back into the classrooms and have you see the different programming that we ask you to support, the dual language school, the high school CTE programs, the kids that are working on the solar cars. Those kinds of things are important, and they know who you are when you go. Those of you that have gone to the lunches, they recognize, you know, we introduce you as board members, they recognize the work that you're doing. They see you in pictures, but it does change that environment, and if it informs your work as a board member, I'm all for it. I'm all for it, so great recommendation, sir. Anybody else? Okay, well, yes,
On a personal note?
yes.
On a personal note, I wanna thank everybody for all the good comments, the feedback that we got on the special last week,
Mhm.
on the 50th anniversary of the fall of Saigon. And so right now, Channel 12, on YouTube, Channel 12 has over 4,000 views on that one special. And, we met with them Wednesday morning, they showed up.
Breakfast.
And they were floored on the Edgewood District veterans, that there's no other community or school anywhere that has anything near what Edgewood has. So, we're honored that we have that. So thank you for all the feedback. I tell people it wasn't about me, it was about the Marines that were there. They're the ones that should have all the glory, and the ones that were in 75. I was there in 1970, so I didn't do anything special, they did. So thank you. Thank you
Still
so
there,
much.
sir. I'll tell you, you were still there. But thank you, sir, I appreciate that. So maybe one day, if you're ever off on a Wednesday, we can invite you to the breakfast with the veterans. It's a really, cause you're,
Just let me know when I can request it.
they love, I noticed that they introduced new guys that had just showed up, they make a big deal. They make a big deal out of you for at least 10 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
But they like cheer, they do these different chants, like apparently Marines have their own chant and everybody.
And that's what they're saying.
You should come see it.
It's
We're prepared for that.
It was very interesting.
Giving me that.
And so, okay, thank you, everybody. Yes, sir.
Board chant.
Like for the activity we did, like how do we make sure, like even the other two board members, how are we making sure their inputs in what we do?
So I think it might be a good, I'll talk to Terry and Ms. Salinas about maybe as a, what do we call it? As a.
One-on-one.
When the kids walk in the room, you give them an entry
Yeah,
ticket.
do now, we'll send them an email.
Yeah, and then we'll work with them. We'll get
Yes.
there. Thank you, sir. That's a good point. Okay, Mr. Dr. Hernandez, I'll turn it back over to you. We still need to close the meeting.
Yeah, we need to close out. Unless y'all wanna stay longer, stay.
Yeah, man, what do you want?
You have 2 minutes.
We got 2 more minutes. Any questions? Any discussion? There, my chicken. All right.
You have fruit, chicken,
Hey,
salad.
don't tell the whole world. Okay, the time is now 6:28 p.m. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So,
Mr. Gomez moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Delgado seconds. Is there any discussion? Okay, if we have no discussion, all those, hang on. If we have no discussion, all those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, raise your hand and say nay. Okay, motion passes. This meeting is adjourned.
You guys. Mr.